Toyota Camry, Honda Accord. These are the two most popular passenger cars in America, and these cars have been battling neck to neck for decades. Today we'll find out why America loves them so much. We'll briefly see how each car evolved in technology and style, and we'll also see which model years are the best if you're looking to buy a used car, and which model years to avoid and why. So hop in and let's get going. Did you know that the Honda Accord was originally based on the Civic? Initially, Honda wanted a larger, quieted, more powerful, and comfortable car than the Civic. That's why they made the Accord hatchback in 1976 as a simple three-door hatchback with 68 horsepower. It was Honda's test shot. A year later, they started producing the sedan edition. The car was equipped with a 1.6-liter gasoline engine. Soon after came the 1.8-liter engine. It was fuel efficient, so it sold very well during the oil crisis years. Meanwhile, Toyota was working on the Celica Camry. In turn, the Celica Camry shared some of its parts with the Toyota Carina, although Toyota redesigned the Carina by extending its front end and adding styling elements reminiscent of the Celica Supra, like the T-bar grille. The idea for the Toyota Camry actually emerged from the Celica Camry. The Celica Camry isn't strictly the first generation of Camry, but more like its predecessor. Honda, in the meantime, was experiencing strong sales in the U.S. This led Honda to build a factory in Marysville, Ohio, in 1982 to assemble the Accord. In fact, the second-generation Accord is noteworthy because it was assembled in the Marysville plant. In fact, the Accord became the first Japanese car to be produced on U.S. soil. The car came available in sedan and hatchback form. That same year, 1982, Toyota made the Camry its own independent lineup with the V10 series, and this officially started the Camry Accord race. The first Camry was a compact car when it first came out, not the mid-size wide body that we see today. Toyota exported the Camry to Australia, Europe, and North America in 1983. The front-wheel drive model was offered in sedan and hatchback bodies, and was equipped with a 1.8 and 2-liter inline-4 engine. To us today, it looks so basic, boxy, and rectangular. But at that time, you'd hardly know that decades later it would grow to become more sleek, stylish. Next, Honda released the third-generation Accord. They redesigned the sedan and hatchback and added a coupe version. It had pop-up headlights and four-corner double wishbone suspensions. During that period, Toyota markets their second-generation Camry, or V20 series, starting in 1987. The wheelbase was the same as the first generation, but the car was now longer, wider, and had a larger trunk, so more interior space. Toyota offered the Camry also in the wagon body and discontinued the hatchback configuration. It came with the same engine as before, and also later came with an option for a 2.5-liter V6 engine. In the meantime, Honda changed its mind on the headlights for the fourth-generation Accord. They replaced the pop-up headlights for fixed ones. The Accords of this area were lower, wider, more spacious, and the Accord came to be classified in the mid-size sedan class. Honda soon nixed the hatchback version and started offering a wagon configuration in the U.S. By then, the basic model came with a 125 horsepower, 2.2-liter single overhead cam 4-cylinder engine. Meanwhile, Toyota introduces the third-generation Camry in 1992. And boy, was it different than the previous generation. For the first time, the American Camry had a different configuration than other market versions. This is when Camry jumped the line from compact class to midsize. It was 6 inches longer, 2 inches wider than before. The body was noticeably rounder, less angular. The sedan and wagon versions offered two new, more powerful engines, a 2.2-liter 4-cylinder and a 3-liter V6. Toyota also launched the two-door Camry Coupe for sporty fans. Next, Honda broke ground with their fifth-generation Honda Accord. The year introduced two huge milestones. It was the first Accord to come with VTEC, known as variable valve timing and lift. This was a game changer. If you missed my video on VTEC, check it out. It's in this era that Honda also started offering the V6 engine option for the Accord. Toyota then introduced the fourth-generation Camry in 1997. You can see Toyota really prioritized American consumer tastes and needs because Toyota had their Michigan engineering facility design half of the car's development. This car looked sharper, was larger in size than before, yet was also lighter and less expensive. And for the first time ever, Camry became the best-selling car in the U.S. During this time, Toyota discontinued the wagon version in the U.S. Coupe version took a short break in production, but re-emerged with the Camry Solara, which came as a two-door coupe and later the four-seater convertible option. Next, Honda killed the wagon configuration with its 6th generation Accord. This generation came with the option for a more powerful 135 horsepower 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine and a 200 horsepower 3-liter V6 engine. Toyota, in the meantime, started their 5th generation Camry in 2002. Camry sedan got a design overhaul, longer wheelbase, taller height, more legroom in the back. The Camry also got a larger base engine, 2.4-liter 4-cylinder with 157 horsepower. Later, it also came with a 3.3-liter V6 engine as an option. Honda continued to increase power output with the 7th generation Accord. The model year 2005 was notable for the first hybridized Accord, but fuel economy was mediocre and the car did not do so well. Then, Toyota came with their 6th generation Camry in 2007. Toyota gave the Camry the option for a 3.5-liter with 268 horsepower. Now that was a serious power upgrade. Toyota now sold more Camrys than ever before. This generation also saw the discontinuation of the Camry Solara Coupe and convertible and the launch of the first Camry Hybrid. Honda then gave a noticeable facelift with the 8th generation Honda Accord. It was sportier than the previous generation and came with a 286 horsepower V6. The 7th generation Camry came in 2012 till 2017. They offered no manual transmission option. The lack of excitement moved Toyota to do some refreshes on its 2015 year model, where Toyota changed every exterior part except the roof, but performance was relatively similar to before since the same engine carried over from the previous generation. In the meantime, Honda kicked off its 9th generation Accord by debuting the CVT transmission. Honda also introduced the new Accord Sports model. It was offered with dual exhaust outlets, sportier wheels, and a standard 6-speed manual transmission. And that brings us to the present. The latest Camrys on the road, the 8th generation XV70. Toyota gave it a sportier facelift and vibe. Last year, Toyota added the 2020 Camry TRD model. It has a race car look and firmer suspension, 301 horsepower, 3.5-liter V6 engine. The latest generation 2019 Toyota Camry remains one of the most impressive value-laden cars available. They say owners can expect this car to retain about 60% of its value after 3 years. Today, the latest Honda Accords are in the 10th generation. Honda kicked off this generation Accord by debuting the CVT transmission. Honda nixed the coupe style and V6 engine option, and instead we started seeing the basic 1.5-liter VTEC turbo 4-cylinder engine and the optional 2-liter VTEC turbo 4-cylinder. The Accord Hybrid went on sale the following year. Both the Honda Accord and the Toyota Camry have both been very strong rivals, but there are definitely better model years than others, and certain model years have received consumer complaints worth considering. So, if you're buying a used Accord or used Camry, what model years should you consider and which ones should you avoid? For the Camry in general, the current generation since 2011 has been mostly problem-free for most owners. The year 2014 especially has the least amount of complaints. Some sources say that the year 2016 is a good option, with a good blend of safety, technology, and value. But according to consumer complaints, there are 3 Camry models to be careful about. It's the Camry model years 2007, 2008, and 2009. Those years have a known engine defect which manifests itself as burning oil and can lead to engine failure. The year 2002 also had engine issues. The largest complaint for that model year was stripped head bolts. As far as Honda Accord is concerned, the best used Accords are from the model years 2013, 2015, 2017, and 2019. The model year with the most overall complaints is 2008. The most reported problem for the 2008 Honda Accord was premature brake wear. Consumers also complained about excessive oil consumption and uncomfortable seats. But that's not the worst year. The worst model year for the Accord was 2003. Not by number of complaints, but higher repair costs and more problems at lower mileage. Many of the 2003 Accords had transmission problems. That year also received complaints for its V6 engine issue. No car is perfect, but overall, both cars have a proven track record and strong reputation for reliability, fuel economy, and customer satisfaction. That's why they're the top sellers in America. Did you know that the Toyota Camry outsold every other sedan in the U.S. for 18 years? In fact, it's the best-selling passenger car in America. An average Camry's lifespan is between 200,000 and 300,000 miles. So assuming you drive 15,000 miles a year, that means the car can last 15 to 20 years and still be in good condition if you service it regularly. The latest generation Camry is much more popular than generations prior. A common question people ask is whether they should buy a Camry with a high mileage. Camrys are reliable even with mileage, but in general, I don't recommend buying a car with more than 200,000 miles unless it's really cheap and it still runs good. Wondering how many miles a Honda Accord can last? An Accord also has the potential to last that long if it's cared for properly, even if you buy a used model. Consumer Reports has claimed that Accord is one of the most likely car to be able to last long like that. So which is better, the Camry or the Accord? Of course, we see fans on both sides of the camp. Some say the Camry is a top choice for comfort, powerful engine options, and well-balanced driving dynamics. The Accord is a top choice for sporty driving, fuel efficiency, more interior space, and nicer cabin overall. But what do you think? Comment below and let us know your opinion between these two. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your support.